Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Sling TSI build log video entry. Today I want to talk about mainly on the left wing's fuel tank. So it's a lot of work spread across in roughly 1 month of calendar time. So I'll kind of walk through what I did. First, I want to show the end result. So as of this afternoon, I have my fuel tank connected to the wing itself, and I riveted everything together. This wing is officially complete, minus maybe a few riv nuts here and there. You can see this is on the rack and sitting outside, and I have the table cleared out to keep working on the left wing. So I think I talked about in a previous video entry, I already talked about proceeding and riveting the fuel tank itself. So that part was a long day, difficult, but it was very sort of deterministic. I knew exactly what I was doing. My wife helped, my dad helped, and we got it done. So that was completed in the beginning of the August. Today is September 2nd, so it's already 1 month ago. And most of the work in this month was around just trying to test the fuel tank and working on the leak repair and sort of just lots of random small things. So the first quest I guess I had to do was to buy the equipments for the fuel leak test and then connect to the fittings, right? I actually briefly talked about this in a previous video entry, but essentially one of the fittings did not really fit well with the pressure gauge I bought. So I had to somehow re-engineer the fittings threads to make it fit more smoothly. So I asked Sling Technical for advice. So two options. One is I had to remove this fitting and basically get a new one. The other option is I can try to fix it by rethreading. So I did log a missing part from the Sling Builders app for a new replacement part, but as they don't typically provide me an ETA, so I don't know when I will receive the new part. Now see, I already have the fuel tank fully finished. I still haven't got a new part. So at the time, I decided to try rethreading. So the thing is I started to do I'm not familiar with the rethreading process, so I started to do my research, and I just basically went on Amazon and searched AN6 rethreading, right? And they actually have this thing called rethreading die. It looks like a normal bolt, and apparently the thread of that bolt is made from super hard metal, and when you screw the bolt onto the fitting, it cuts through a new path of threads and then remove a lot of material and force the thread into the shape that works for that threading. For that type of fitting. So I actually bought that first, and that was not a great choice because when I put the rethreading die onto the fitting, and it doesn't turn onto the fitting at all. Like the moment it goes on, it requires a lot of friction to turn, and it starts to cut away material immediately. So I was worried. So I tried the threading thing to another fitting, which I know it was working. It also started to cut away material from the good one. So that was a sign that I should probably stop doing that. So I kept doing my research, and apparently there's another set of thing called the thread chaser. So it's this guy. It works the same as the I guess this in the same principle as the rethreading die, but it also looks similar, but it's I guess it's I don't know, like softer in the material, or but basically it doesn't cut away materials as aggressively as a threading die. So essentially you just pick the right size of the thread and just slowly uh, turn the thread onto the fitting uh, until it stops, and then just turn half around, back half around, turn half around, back half around until it reaches the end of the thread, the fitting. And of course, you also need to get the machine oil with the threading, the thread chaser. Otherwise, it would just be metal on metal, and that's not good either. So if you have a bad thread and you want to fix it, try the thread chaser first. Do not just go ahead, do not just use the rethreading die immediately. It might fix your problem, but it also might make the problem worse. So this is a safer fix, at least as a step one to try. So I use this to on the fuel the bad fitting on my fuel tank, and apparently it worked. I was finally able to get the fitting to connect and continue my leak test. So this is I can put on the product link. I got this from Amazon, so I'll put a product link later on my blog. Okay, so the next once that's out of the way, I was able to finally conduct the actual field testing, the field leak test. So essentially, what I did is connected. Let's see, I connected one opening to the pressure gauge and the other opening to a bicycle valve, so I can use a bike pump to kind of put air in here and then measure until it gets to 1 psi. Then I kind of just stop there, let the air stabilize, then read the measure once in a while, every hour or every half an hour for a couple hours or so. My first test, it showed a leak immediately. So I didn't even pump up to 1 psi. I pumped it to, I think, half of 0.5 psi. Once I disconnected, the air just goes to zero within maybe 20-25 minutes. So there comes my next quest. I needed to figure out where the leak come from. So I kind of just followed what everybody else was doing online as a step one. So I mixed some Dawn dish soap water and with water, and kind of just sprayed it all over my tank, across every rivet, every fitting. But I couldn't find the leak, since I think if it's leaking half of psi within half an hour, it's got to be a huge leak. So I was surprised that the soap water couldn't catch it. So I started to get worried that maybe there's a leak on the behind the leading skin, or maybe I even forgot to put on a rivet somewhere. So I used camera to go into this hole and check. At least I didn't miss any rivet. Fortunately, I did not. So I kind of just kept doing this for a couple days. I just put different ratios of the soapy water and spray them across on the back channel, on the front channel, and on the side of skins. At some point, I suspected might be a leak on the fuel draining valve or the fuel cap, and turns out they were not leaking. So I kept doing this for a couple of days, and I got frustrated. Then it came to the rescue for the second product I bought from Amazon. Let me show you if I have this. Yeah, so this thing called the Snoop. Um, I think it's just some kind of like secret ingredient, special mix of soapy water. It claims to be able to detect tiny or micro leak, micro holes. So I was skeptical at first, but I bought it just to give it a shot. And so I sprayed this on the fitting on the side, and it immediately showed huge bubbles coming out. So my leak was around the AN6 fitting from the fuel inlet fitting. So knowing that I was the fixing it was pretty standard, I just kind of mixed a whole bunch more Pro Seal and smeared it around the fitting, around the bolt, and around the washer, inside and outside, and gave it another week of to wait. So during the wait, I had to, in order to reach the inside of uh, the fitting, I had to take apart the gasket and the fuel level sender plate. So when I took away the gasket, it was fairly clear the gasket was not reusable. It, I will show a picture later, but essentially it's very compressed, and it was already, the sides were already starting to crack under pressure, and all the holes, at least half of the holes, were just not round, not circular anymore. So I don't know if it's low quality, but it certainly didn't inspire confidence for putting it back in. Fortunately, another fellow builder, Greg, was able to manufacture a new set of gasket for me using a much better material. So here's he sent me two gaskets, and I already used one on the fuel tank, and this is for the other fuel tank I'm going to build maybe hopefully this month. So it's much more sturdier, and it's water jet cut, precise cut of all the holes, and it fits perfectly on the fuel tank through the rib nuts. So I used this gasket instead of the old cork one from Sling. So once that's set, I kind of waited for a week for the Pro Seal to dry, then to test again. Then on the second test, I actually had another leak at the same spot. I think I just missed something on the Pro Seal when I was trying to seal it from the outside. So I just mixed even more Pro Seal and put onto the outside, actually covering over on top of the bolt for the -6 AM fitting. So one more week passed. Then I did another round of test for 2 days. I charted the time and the PSI and the temperature through the 2 days period. I'm in a place where the temperature difference in morning and in the evening is pretty big. I pumped the air into the fuel tank at around 6:30 p.m. when my garage is pretty warm. So I pumped it to 1 psi. By 11 p.m., it dropped to 0.8. So I was very scared. I didn't know whether this was a temperature issue or whether there was an actual leak. But I just kept tracking. Next morning, 7:30, maybe at around 8, it dropped to the lowest point, 0.6 psi. So I waited to 6:30 in the afternoon on the second day. It came back to 0.9, 0.95 psi. And then it kind of just repeated the pattern on the third day, between 6.6 and 0.95. So at some point, I think it reached to 0.98 or something. So I kind of took all the numbers, and since there's a pattern, it reached the same highs and same lows at the same time. I think I just concluded that there's no leak on this fuel tank. Then I just kind of riveted together, and with help from my dad, we were able to put it on the rack. And so that's a pretty big milestone for me for on this one. And then the next step is I'm gonna go work on the second wing, repeat everything on the fuel tank and landing lights and wingtip. I'll save the landing light as a for a story for next time. That's this is also a struggle. I actually think I actually enjoyed working on fuel tank more than the landing light cover. All right, so I think that's it. Thanks, guys.